Y'all, it is New Instrument Day. New Low Whistle Day, in fact, which is not something I've said too often on this channel. Those of you who've been following my stuff for a while know that I don't do a whole lot of low whistle stuff. I do have one, which I'm going to compare this new one to, and we'll kind of break that down, but in general I tend to stick with the high whistles and the flute. That's my regular thing. But the folks from Howard Music were kind enough to ship this out to me to give a chance to check out, so let's see what it can do. Like a birthday present. It's all wrapped up all fancy. How cool is that? Whoa. Wow. Look at that. I was not expecting this kind of brass around the black. That looks really slick. I like the markings. I'm assuming that's some tuning markings. Ooh, that's kind of clever. I'm going to assume this long one in the middle is kind of the standard position here. Let's see how it sounds. Wow, it's nice. Boy, it's got a lot of character in that low end. It's got some soul to it. It's really nice. First impressions on this thing are kind of spectacular, and I will say that they've come a long way. This is not my first Howard, actually. I had a loan of one when I was playing with my first touring Irish rock band, a group called 6 Mile Bridge. And I had one that I played in the band for probably a year or so before I got this, when I first went to Ireland. And then I returned it to the fellow I was borrowing it from. So I played it briefly at the time. Didn't really know much about what I was doing, and I would say they've come a long way. The build quality, the appearance of the thing, the professionalism of the thing is remarkable. I like the black coating and the way that they've got the finger holes, the brass kind of shining through. It's a really clever design. The markings here on the top for, I assume, intonation. We're going to get to that in a second. The logo itself, the head joint. On the back here it says balanced, and that's one thing we're going to look at because they were kind enough to send me another head joint. And I'm not sure which one this is. They make different options for different tone. This one says Balance Classic M3. 1 division equals 5 cents. Okay, so I was right. These are tuning markers, which we'll get to when we test into that too. But yeah, they were kind enough to send this additional mouthpiece, so we'll see what the difference is there. Let's see how that compares to what I've kind of become used to for what little I do play here, but wow, very different. The pressure requirements for the lower octave and the higher octave seem much more imbalanced. I have a feeling that may be why it says balanced on the back of this thing. It's extremely balanced now that I put 2 and 2 together. When I play my O'Brien, there's a significant amount of air needed for that upper octave. And a significant reduction that you have to get, particularly in the lower hand, the bottom 3 notes. It's a lot closer to a high whistle where you have that significant air difference there, and you really have to back off to the point where most folks will crack those notes because they find it hard to believe how little air you need. It's a similar kind of thing. It's really easy to overblow on the lower hand. With the Howard, at least with this balanced mouthpiece, it's just even. I can almost keep the air exactly the same all the way through that octave. Yeah, that's remarkable. Since we are talking about tone, I'm kind of curious what the difference in head joint will do. This one says reed, and I assume that's meant to sound reedier. gonna think, maybe. We'll see. Ooh, it is. Boy, it's still got a lot of punch to it, though. When I first started, those first couple of notes, I had the concept of reediness. I sort of expected that to be a little bit wasteful with air, a little less efficient. Like you'd be giving up some air to make that reedy sound, but I don't think that's the case. Well, it's really nice. It's interesting how much difference that makes. I'm curious from a controllability standpoint. I'm going to switch back to the balanced that I started with here. That turnaround ability. But interesting. Now that I've done that, here we go back to the reed again. A lot of back and forth in this game. Let's see what we got. Yeah, I definitely, personally, from just a sound quality preference, I like the reed. I like the one that says reed. There is a bit of a trade-off in that balance, where the lower end does require a bit less. And you got to punch the top end a little bit. I would say I'm kind of used to that, so I kind of like the tone you get out of that. It's interesting that it makes that much difference, though. I bet that's going to sound closer. Honestly, no, but it still has, it's more efficient. Interesting. Well, you know what it is? With the O'Brien, you have to be a little bit more focused. You have to focus your air a bit. At least in the second octave. You gotta direct it a little bit, or at least you can direct it to give yourself that more focused sound versus the more airy, raspier sound. Whereas here, you really don't have to do a whole lot. It kind of does a lot more of it for you. You still get a bit of that raspier, reedier sound, but without the inefficiency. Really very impressive. I guess not that I was expecting anything less, but I hadn't played these in so long. I wasn't expecting to be this impressed. Boy, yeah, you can really push it around. You got a lot of room. You got some flexibility with that tone. It's remarkable. Let's do a quick tuning check here just to see how we do. Yeah, but it's just bang on the money. Yeah, it's really nice. I'm curious too on the C natural. Sounds like you can get away with either the 3 fingers deal or the full forked. Yeah, both those seem to work. 2-finger C natural is a little bit sharp. Probably not going to make a huge difference either way, though. Probably pretty subtle. Oh, I really like that raspiness you get in the bottom hand in particular. And you can really push it around. It's a remarkable thing. I'm very fortunate that I got to try this out. Thanks so much to the Big Whistle Company and for Howard for supplying this, giving me a chance to try it. I think if you're in the market for a low whistle, it's a pretty good option. They're available, they're affordable. I think it's about $170. They've got a couple of different versions of these, and I imagine there's different costs that come with the different head joints and such. So you might have some additional options there and some things you might want to look at. I think this is a pretty good kit. This black anodized looks cool. It sounds cool. Checks a lot of boxes. It's tunable. You know, I mean, you got really everything you want. So if you're in the market, this might be a pretty good way to go. Let me know what y'all think. Maybe y'all have played Howard. Y'all have Howard whistles. Yeah, let me know. I'll see y'all in the next one. Cheers, guys.